Good morning, and welcome to the Hokyoji Sunday Dharma Talk. My name is Dokai Jordson. I'm the guiding teacher at Hokyoji, and it's my pleasure today to introduce to you Reverend Jeromy Keidō Thotland. He's been practicing at MZMC since 2014 and was ordained by Ted O'Toole in 2019. His focus is on experiential practice, living Zen off the cushion, and living a service-oriented life. He finds Zen practice fulfilling and difficult, and totally worth it. He's happy to share his experience with others. He grew up and currently lives in Minneapolis with his partner, Andrea, dog Juniper, and cat Turk. And we look forward to hearing what you have to say to us today, Jeromy Keidō-san. Thank you.
Thank you, Dokai, and thanks everyone. Thanks for inviting me, and to be able to do this is pretty much a treat. Well, it's the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and we have a lot that we could be doing, and it's nice that we can all be here together. So I've put together some thoughts. This year at MZMC, we have gone through the Platform Sutra, the Sutra of Wei-Neng, and it's my second time going through it, and some things kind of jumped out at me, and it might be, I was noticing afterwards, after I wrote the talk, and I'm kind of going over it in my mind again, that it's like, oh, I might be repeating myself. So that's okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and dive in and repeat myself. I think that's a feature of human life, is that when we really encounter ourselves, we see over and over again the repetition. And I think Zen practice also has a lot of repetition. We just keep coming back over and over to the moment. So I'm trying to embrace the repetition, although it is a little bit of a sticky point for me. If you're not familiar with the Platform Sutra of Wei-Neng, it is about the sixth Chinese ancestor that we have of Wei-Neng, and his kind of how he came to the Dharma and became the sixth ancestor, and his teachings after that. And I'm just going to focus more on the early part, kind of about him. So it's a little bit of an unusual sutra that it has the biography. Basically, he wrote his own biography. He may not have written the sutra himself. Some scholars say, I'm not a scholar, but some scholars say that the sutra was written after his death. And I'm just going to kind of leave the scholarly stuff alone and the motivations for those kinds of things alone. There's a lot there to explore if you're interested. But the story of Wei-Neng himself, to me, seems very Zen-ish. And by that, I mean that his story seems to be, in many little features, beyond words, beyond letters. And it's direct, it's to the point. So by that, I mean, so for his history, his father actually was an outcast. He was some kind of person of importance in northern China, and he was outcast to the south. He was very cultured, he was literate, and then he was outcast. And his mother was from southern China, so he met his mother. His father met his mother, and the South was considered wild, and it was pretty disdained by the North. And there's lots of jungle down there, and so they get kind of a bad rap. So Wei-Ning himself grew up illiterate. So he did not know how to read and write. He was a laborer. He cut and sold firewood. And it was during one day when he was selling firewood that he heard a monk from the north reciting the Diamond Sutra. And when he heard the Diamond Sutra, something in him awoke. He had an awakening experience. He wasn't sure what was going on, so he asked the monk, what it is and where he learned that. And he said, well, I learned it from the north. So he went up to Hongren's temple. He went north to study. And one of the first things that Hongren asked him where he was from, he said, well, I'm from this city in the south. And then he says, well, you're a jungle rat. How do you know anything about Buddha nature? So even our fifth ancestor had some prejudices and exercised those prejudices. So I think Hongren saw something, though. He saw this young man and saw that he had some kind of potential or some awakening experience. He knew inherently about Buddha nature. He kind of woke up to it on his own with the help of the Diamond Sutra, of course. And so Hongren said, okay, you can stay here and you can work in the rice grinding, in the rice mill. And he did that for a while. Hongren himself was quite old, and he was getting ready to pass on his legacy to the next generation. And he already had somebody in mind. The temple had a head monk, Shen Shu. Shen Shu was a very academic scholar, very well liked. He was the guy that was going to be the next abbot of this monastery. Everybody knew it, and there was really no question about this. But at the same time, I think Hongren saw that there was maybe some incompleteness. And so he started a poetry contest. He said, all you monks, please write down your understanding of the Dharma. And for the one that has the best understanding, I'll give my robe and bowl to. And the robe and bowl symbolize the passing of the torch to the next generation. And so Shen Shu wrote a poem, and nobody else wrote a poem because they were all like, yeah, Shen Shu's the man. So we're just not going to do that. We're going to just have him write a poem, and we all know that it's going to be great enough, and so it'll be fine. So he wrote a poem, and he was brazen enough to write it on a wall. It's not like he slipped a note under the door. He took a big space and he wrote it on a wall that was supposed to contain a mural. It was commissioned for a mural. So I think there might have been a little hubris there. Like he knew that it was kind of a lock. And everybody kind of took that poem. All the other monks took that poem and kind of recited the poem. I'll get to the poem itself in a minute. And so they were reciting it under their breath. And Wei-Ning heard people doing this and was like, what are you saying? What is this? And because he was working in the mill, he didn't know anything about this contest. They said, hey, well, Shen Shu wrote this poem, and it's a good one, and we're studying it, so we're reciting it all the time. And he said, well, show me this poem. And he had somebody read the poem to him. He thought about it and said, well, can you write something for me? Because I would like to write my own response to this. And he wrote a response. So his response was different than Shen Shu's. It went a little beyond what Shenshu had written. And when the abbot Hongren saw that, he downplayed it a little bit, but he knew that Huineng got it, and he wanted Huineng to be the ancestor or the next abbot. But he knew that wasn't going to work out well politically. So in the middle of the night, he gave his robe and bowl to Huineng, told Huineng to run for it. And Huineng went south and ran. He stayed there for a number of years. A lot of people went after him. One person that did find him decided to become his student. So this is a quick sum up. And he never went back to that temple. He never went back to Hongren's temple. He had his own, and he died not far from where he was born. And this was in the 600s. So the two poems, so there's a poetry contest, and I think with poems, with contests, we think that there's a winner and a loser. So Shenshu wrote his understanding of the Dharma as this: the body is a Bodhi tree, the mind is like a standing mirror. Always try to keep it clean. Don't let it gather dust. So to me, this elicits effort. This elicits concentration and focus. It's a big part of practice. It's a foundation of meditation, concentration and focus. In some view that this is the form of the world, form and emptiness. This is the form. So we have dust. We have this mirror, this precious mirror that is our Buddha nature, and we need to be diligent, and we need to make sure that the hindrances don't build up in us. And so we need to concentrate and see those when they come up and really work to keep our mirror clean, to make sure this dust doesn't stick. And then Huineng came in after he heard that poem, and he wrote his own. He said, Bodhi doesn't have any trees. This mirror doesn't have a stand. Our Buddha nature is forever pure. Where do you get this dust? So Huineng goes beyond. He sees the Buddha nature that is already entirely and in and of itself fine, pure, beyond any defilement. There's nothing that we can do personally or karmically to destroy Buddha nature. Buddha nature is inherent in all things. I have a calendar with a saying that even rocks and soil can become a Buddha. Oh, wow. That's really interesting. That must mean rocks and soil have Buddha nature too. Does a dog have Buddha nature? The first koan that everybody's given. So, yeah, Bodhi is it's just here. It's waiting to be realized. It's waiting to be seen. There's nothing that can defile that. The inherent purity of ourselves, our inherent wholeness and our inherent completeness is already done. And there's nothing we really need to do. So there's some awareness, just open awareness, some ease. And this to me seems like the emptiness side of form and emptiness. That if everything's already complete, everything's done, there's nothing to do. very easy. And so this is set up as a contest. There's tension between these two ideas. You know, which one is right? Who wins? Because there's a lot at stake. There's the whole passing of the Dharma to the winner of this contest. So which one is actually right? So Wei Ning gets the robe and bowl, right? So we think, oh, he's the winner. He's the one that has the best understanding, and he's the one that receives the robe and bowl and has to go on a little adventure, but is well worth it. But Wei Ning also wrote at the same time another poem. So Wei Ning wrote two. He says, the mind is a Bodhi tree. The body is the mirror stand. The mirror itself is so clean, dust has no place to land. So the place of awakening is in the mind, and our practice is in the body. The mirror itself is very clean, and there is dust again, but it's okay. It's okay. This is just kind of a natural way of being. So he's kind of walking back that there's no dust. He's walking back that we don't have to do anything. We have these things. Emptiness doesn't negate form. And these kind of the three ways that I'm looking at this also remind me of a Layman Pang story. I love Layman Pang stories. So I wanted to share this one too. It's a pretty short one. Layman Pang was in 8th century China. And he was a Zen practitioner, very astute one. And he had, there's Layman Pang, Layman Pang's wife, and Layman Pang's daughter, Ling Zhao. So Layman Pang was sitting in a thatched cottage one day studying the sutras. Difficult, 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 he suddenly exclaimed, like trying to store 10 bushels of sesame seed in the top of a tree. Easy, 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 said his wife. It's like touching your feet to the floor when you get out of bed. Their daughter Ling Zhao said, neither difficult nor easy. It's like the teaching of the ancestors shining on the 100 grass tips. Difficult, difficult, difficult. We have work to do. We have dust. We have to concentrate and we have to make some effort. In Buddhism, we have the 4 foundations of mindfulness: the body, feelings, emotions, mental phenomena. We can concentrate on these and spend time with these. And it's helpful to do this. This is a focused practice. This is dusting the mirror. This is making sure that everything stays clean. In Zen, I was taught a labelless kind of concentration, where I'm paying attention to these things in the body, in the mind, but I don't assign the values to them. I just experience them without any kind of label. Because once we get to the labels, for me anyway, I'm off to the races about what it is and what I can do. And I've often found how wrong I am when I label something and then I go off to the races. if I just stay with the thing itself in concentration, then I can really experience it without having to make it into something. And this experience may be very momentary, or it may stay with me for a while. But in all cases, staying labelless with it, really inquiring, not in a word way of like, what is this, but in a wordless way. And for that, I go, what is this way that I can be inquisitive without words? I was reading a book by Arun Gandhi, who's Mahatma Gandhi's grandson, and it's a book about anger, which I can use all the help I can get on that. And in it, as a child, Mahatma Gandhi was trying to teach Arun Gandhi how to build concentration. Because when we first come to practice, it might be difficult to maintain concentration or maintain focus for any amount of time. And he advised having a flower and holding the flower and really studying the flower with some good concentration. And then closing your eyes and trying to picture the flower that you were just seeing and holding that image in your mind for as long as you can. And at first, it's not going to be very long. And then with practice, it becomes 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, an hour. I don't know how long you can go. And I thought it was a very interesting exercise. And so a lot of times when I'm in meditation and I go into the concentration aspect of it, and there's a spot on the wall, I'll just try to experience that spot for as long as I can. So this is the focusedness, the form side of the poems, the dust, the difficult side. Layman Pang's wife said, easy, easy, easy. It's just like putting your feet on the floor when you get out of bed. Well, I suppose that depends on how you get out of bed. But it's just an easy thing to do. It just seems like that's what you do. And this reflects to me the awareness side, the openness side, the no dust side of the poetry. But then I got to thinking of awareness itself. The awareness practice that I use is it can be very focused. I can just maybe do my little toe and think about my left little toe and put my mind in my left little toe and really inhabit that space in awareness, and then build on that to be maybe 2 points, my toe and my ear, and then a whole body awareness, the awareness of the room, and just really spending time in these spaces, the awareness of the city, the awareness of the cosmos. You're from one side of the universe to the other. But it made me wonder, like, what is awareness anyway? What is this quality that we think of as awareness? And I really don't have an answer, but something that struck me recently, I was sick, and another time when I took some medication, or I guess in the past, if I delve into the past, other times when I've been drunk or buzzed about something or something like that. And I think, wow, this state that I am in is so different from my normal state. I am altered somehow. This is weird. This is, this is not normal. So somewhere I know I have this comparison model of what normal is. I have awareness that the state that I'm in is not my normal state. So something is seeing these things. So what is that? An open awareness, the easy, the open awareness of shikantaza zazen. Just letting what comes up come up, seeing it, experiencing it, letting it go when it goes. Sometimes it doesn't go for a while. It's fine. But having that open awareness, that invitation that anything is welcome is very helpful. So we've got the difficult and we've got the easy. We've got the emptiness and the form. And then we've got neither difficult nor easy. Ling Zhao says, difficult, easy, that's all something that we're putting onto it. That's all extra. We have one step beyond that to go, where it's just the natural being. Coming back from easy and difficult, coming back from form and emptiness. Yeah, there is form, there is emptiness, there is mind, there is a body. Wei-Ning says it. The mind is the Bodhi tree, the body is the mirror stand. Oh, we have these things again. There is dust. What do we need to do? I'm reminded of Suzuki Roshi's phrase, you're perfect the way you are, and you could use a little improvement. A lot of times when I first heard that, that's very funny. And that's a Zen joke. Haha, yeah, I don't need any improvement. I need improvement and I'm perfect. But the second one negates the first one. Like I'm perfect the way I am. Oh, isn't that nice? And I could use some improvement. Haha, isn't that true? That must mean that the first one isn't true. But I don't think that's the case anymore. My understanding of that has changed, that both of these things exist. Both of these things are true. Needing improvement doesn't negate the perfectness that we are. The dust doesn't cover the mirror. The dust is there. The mirror is pure. Nothing needs to be done. And Wei-Ning was awakened by the Diamond Sutra. The Diamond Sutra that says, I haven't read the Diamond Sutra, so I'm only referencing what I've heard. Mountains are mountains. Mountains are not mountains. And because of that, mountains are mountains again. So my current understanding of that, which I hope will change, is that when we see the mountain, we have this idea of what the mountain is. We can even go climb it and experience it. And, this is what a mountain is. And we're so sure of our experience, and we're so sure of our ideas and our thoughts about it, that the mountain is entirely what we think it is. And the truth is far beyond that, because the mountain is made up of so many non-mountain components. The mountain is made up of the sky that surrounds it, the clouds that go over it. The mountain goes all the way down into the whole earth. The mountain is made out of us. We're contributing to the mountain being the way it is, and the mountain verifies us. So now the mountain isn't just the mountain anymore. The mountain is so much more. And when we can really see that, then the mountain is the mountain again. Now we can really encounter it with our whole being, knowing that we are the mountain. The sunshine on the 1,000 grass tips. The teaching of the ancestors on 1,000 grass tips. This is just the way it is. Just this. This is perfect. So going back to Weinang's third poem, the mind is the Bodhi tree, the body is the mirror's stand. The mirror itself is so clean, dust has no place to land. Yes, there is effort. And there's going beyond effort. There's dusting the mirror, and there's no dust at all. And then there's just this. There's just what we're doing. There's just where we are. Perfectly fine. Just what we need to do. Whatever is proper and appropriate for the moment. Whether it's zazen or walking, chopping wood, carrying water, doing the taxes. That's the teaching on the 1,000 grass tips. And so turning this back into our lives, I would turn it back into my life and just say, oh, yeah, things might be difficult sometimes, or things might be easy sometimes, but for practice, everything is the way that it needs to be in order for me to awaken, in order for me to act in the world, and in order for me to really connect with everything that's going on. The Buddha nature that lives here is just fine. I can take care of it by realizing it. I can take care of it by doing what needs to be done. And it's just daily life. It's not anything special. I heard somebody say recently, ordinary. I love that. Ordinary. Yes. We think that our practice needs to be something really radical or really, really special. And really, if we're just paying attention to our coffee, if we're really loving our partner, if we're really engrossed in whatever it is that we're doing, it's enough. It's just ordinary stuff. And in Zen practice, we do some weird things like sitting in meditation and lighting candles and incense and bowing. But all these things are to help us realize what it is that we're doing. They're there to help us realize our own life. And we can experience our life in these moments of form. And we can experience this life in our moments of emptiness. But more often than not, I'm somewhere in between. And it goes by really, really fast. So I encourage you to experience the life where you are right now. I think that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Keidō-san. If people have comments or questions, this would be an opportune time to discuss things with Keidō. I'll make one comment. I'm glad you emphasized, Keidō, that one poem wasn't exactly better than the other. I think that's my understanding of that story is you need the first poem to have the second poem. So
yeah.
I mean, the second poem doesn't stand alone by itself. You need the first one.
Yeah.
To balance. And to me, that's kind of the beauty of those poems. And yeah, and so yeah, Hui Neng had to split in the middle of the night, so that's okay too. It gives us some things that it's kind of debunks the myth that things were pretty good a long time ago, but they aren't now. So so anyway, it's constantly going on. Oh, and then I got to thinking about dust. Now, dust and me have a interesting relationship. Sometimes people stay in my room. I mean, not so much lately, but they used to stay in my room at Hokyoji if I weren't there during a retreat because we had a real shortage of rooms, and some people have had to go into my room and clean it before someone else stays there. And I've heard comments from some people that said, "This place is so dusty." So anyway, and anyway, I notice dust a lot. I don't think we like dust. I don't think that's a likable thing for most people. So it represents something, something we don't like. So where does that place that we don't like, where is it landing? On a pure mirror or pure, something pure. Well, it's just our idea, I believe, that something's dusty. I mean, yeah, you got to clean the dust. I mean, because it's unhealthy if you don't clean your dust, but clean up your dust. But dust is in the universe. It's made out of the same stuff that we are. So I think. So anyway, I just appreciate your analogy and your talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Dokai. Edo-san?
Thank you very much. I appreciated your talk. And I had a little response. I'm familiar with that. Mountains are mountains or not, and then mountains are mountains. But it just a vision came to my mind of what it's like to view the mountain from the distance. And there's the mountain. And then when you're climbing the mountain, that's so different. Like, where is the mountain? When you're in the mountain, you don't even see the mountain. I mean, it's like you just see this little area around you. And then where is the mountain? Or is there a mountain? I don't know. I don't have anything profound to say. It was just like, I just had this response, like, oh. Well, a lot of things are like that. When you look at them from outside, and then when you're in it, it's a totally different thing.
Yeah. 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 And paying attention to that, I think, is really important.
And often because
Thank
we're in
you.
it, we don't see it. We don't see what we're in. I mean, anyway.
Yeah. I noticed my internet just kind of bugged for a second, but I think I caught all of what you said. And it's important to pay attention when we're in it and really feel that. And it can be different, but it's not, it doesn't negate the other experience of it being far away when we're in it. Both things.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Mary.
Keidō, thank you so much. So many things came up for me during your Dharma talk, and it just really was so thoughtful. So here's one of the things, this is my struggle in life, and that is your question, what is effort? So I think that between these poems, there's a lot of discussion about, right, effort. And it's either my their culture or whatever. I'm not going to assign what it is to struggle. I just know I do. Always struggling with, making it right. Whether you're going to whatever it is, and whether it's getting a dinner ready for your Thanksgiving guests, cleaning, doing all of that. And the first poem, to me, really kind of reflected that. It's like, make it, make good effort. Don't let the hindrances build up. It's really, keeping the mirror clean. Well, to me, that's problematic because I see it, and maybe I'm wrong, it's just that I see it in myself as piousness or piety or ego or just, I don't know. And it's all about the other, like how I want to present myself
Mm-hmm.
rather than my natural self. And then, so I struggle. I struggle with effort. I mean, I struggle with that when I'm in session, just sitting. The effort. It's
Mm-hmm.
very, and maybe that's just simply, it's my ego. But effort is really kind of,
Yeah.
it's just really a quagmire for me. And that's all I wanted to say, because I think for me, what you were talking about was reflecting that for me, my struggles. So thank you. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you brought up something that rung like a bell when you said it was what's right, right? And I think and that's because I've been really deep into that too this last week specifically of I take this pattern that I think is right and I have my experience and I'm trying to match it on there. Like, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? But really, I don't know what right is. I don't know what patterning I'm trying to match at all. So what is right is really a deep question for me. Like, and I see myself doing this pattern matching, trying to either present a certain way, like you were saying, or try to fit my experience or label my experience. So the labelless concentration helps with that a little bit. But the seeking of what's right, without knowing what right is, it seems a little bit like insanity to me. But I can be a little insane. That's I'm just reading a chat that Catherine put in. It's not quite a mountain, but I used to climb the hills of San Francisco. I found peace there, and I observed the slow moving buses and tiny people below. What is that? It made me think. Oh, yeah. Yeah, having a radically different perspective really, really makes you wonder. I also had an experience of riding in a car, and a car was right next to me, and it was really big, right? It's an SUV, it's really big. And they took an exit, and we kept going straight, and they took an exit, and the big SUV just got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm like, I was staying with that thinking, they're not actually getting smaller, but it really, my perception is, oh, they're getting smaller, and they're pretty soon they're going to be gone and be insignificant in my life when they were just so real to me just a second ago. And I just had that visceral feeling of both them getting smaller and them staying the same with the same importance of being right next to me as they went off onto their own life, and how much everything is like that.
We have a few more minutes if there are any other thoughts.
Thank you, Keidō. This koan is a good one for me. Like you said, Mary, I'm very attuned to doing things right and thinking I'm right or wrong. So catching myself is kind of what my Zen practice helps me with. When I was at Great Vow Monastery during one of the sessions there, one of the teachers posed the same question, I believe, to all of the students, which was, what is your breath? So, and I was just kind of shocked how I was supposedly following my breath the entire time I was in meditation. And I really couldn't describe it. So that, of course, the sense of wrongness or inadequacy arose. And yet it was a very interesting question to not, in a way, require of oneself an answer. Just like the mountains are mountains, the mountains aren't mountains, and then the mountains are mountains again. It's like, well, if you don't require of yourself an answer, then is that meeting the moment? Is that the right thing, the wrong thing? But when I kind of recognize those ideas are so entrapping in one way, and yet that's exactly the door, in a way, to seeing things differently, kind of opening. So, like Catherine said, the world looks differently when you look down on the city at the cars and the houses and the people, when you're up on the mountain, and that fluidity is now, the what the new place to get caught, right? Oh, I'm focusing too much on something, and can I let go of that? So the trio of poems that appeared on the wall are also kind of a great practice to notice. And thank you, Dokai, for pointing out that it was something. It was a good teaching to remember that this moment is reliably this moment. And in some ways, you can't say anything about that. And in other ways, how can you live a life if you don't have something to say about it? So these, what I value about that is it's a powerful shredding of reliance on my ideas, and a powerful, really, in some ways, a great peacefulness to realize just being here is here, that I can return to it. I can kind of get familiar with whatever thinking's involved, but also whatever non-thinking's involved. And it's a wonderful kind of tricky teaching. So thank you for bringing it forth. Sometimes I get the feeling, oh, this one again,
Yeah.
those kinds of things.
Yeah.
What else can be said about this? But just as the Buddha, I sometimes remind myself, this guy taught the same thing over and over and over and over. And it's helpful. It's really helpful. So thank you. Thank you for helping me this morning in that way.
Can I respond?
Please.
When you were talking about not relying, a thought popped into my head, which was also that we can't rely on our own thoughts and evaluations, including of ourselves, like whether it's right or wrong. So it's kind of like, in a sense, could be kind of a wasted effort, to try too hard to discern that. And sometimes we value self-reflection and discernment to the extent that we can go too far with that, like thinking so much about ourselves and is it right, is it wrong, should I do this, should I do that, and which is really quite ego-centered in a sense, it's not all about me, and maybe I don't know if you had this experience, but I've had the experience that I used to be so discerning about everything that it would immobilize me because I couldn't figure out what was right and what was wrong, so I wouldn't do anything. I mean, because I didn't trust my own intuition. And to some extent, I think we need to sort of just let those thoughts be and sort of trust your intuition, and also just assume, well, your motives are never going to be pure, so just let go of that and just move forward and act, do something. Anyway, that's what I have to say.
Nice. Thank you for that encouragement.
Oh, by the way, I've never heard that story.
Oh,
So just to let you all know, most of you have been steeped in this for half a century. So no, I'm just kidding. I have not heard it, and it's beautiful.
Mm.
mhm.
It's a story worth repeating. Anyone else? We're down to our last few minutes. All right then. Thank you so much, Jeromy Keidō Thotland. And next week, I give the talk. And then after that, it's either Kyoku or Myo-o. I haven't heard yet. They are co-leading the Rohatsu Session, which of course is the next event at Hokyoji. It starts on the 2nd, which is a Monday evening after Thanksgiving, and goes to the 9th. And one of those, Kyoku or Myo-o, they're co-leading it, and one of them will give the talk on the 8th. And then on the 15th, Shodo Spring gives the talk. And then we don't have talks on the Sundays before Christmas and New Year's. So that's our schedule. And then the other event is the last week of January, the winter practice period begins. And first 2 weeks are being co-led by myself and GD, Laura Kennedy, Gentle Dragon, Monru. And the last week is a session. And that takes us through January. There might be an event or two coming along that's still in the works right now that might happen in January or February, but I'll let you know when that's solidified. So that's all I have for events, and now we'll close with our 4 vows. Beings are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless, I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable, I vow to realize it. Thank you all for coming this morning, and have a very wonderful Thanksgiving, whatever that may take you, and however you might celebrate. And I hope to see you all next week. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Good to see you all.
Thank you.